Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another last-minute kick-out episode. As always, I am Pete Times Creed Navigator, joined by my wrestling cohorts in crime. One, Mr. Kevin, the Kevin Eva.
Hey.
And also, as always, joined by John Turbo Finley.
Greetings.
I hope you are both in good feelings, good states, as we are here to talk about WrestleMania Night 2 for 2021.
Oh, yes.
General thoughts around the room on Night 2?
It was definitely a second night of a two-night show.
Holy shit, these legendary thoughts.
It's like twice in a lifetime.
I mean, no, you can't say that. I used that for the first night. It was
That was God.
episode
God
night
versus
one was
McMahon
God versus
2.
McMahon versus God 2 twice in a lifetime. We can't go.
This one wasn't as damp.
No.
It wasn't a damp in the atmosphere, but it was definitely flat in certain areas.
There was a low pressure front coming from the dressing room, which ended up in the room. Unfortunately,
for myself, 2.5 notable matches was in my eyes, and
That's fair enough.
get
But
to them eventually.
let's talk about the most depressing and confusing one first, shall we?
yes.
Randy Orton versus The Fiend with Alexa Bliss. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to open the show for a start. I was expecting Mr. Spookum Ookums to come out later on in the night, but the entrance was pretty cool. The rejuvenated, resurrected Fiend, looking back to his stature again, coming out
a new
to the
pair
Fiend
of
in the
pants.
box. He has got a new pair of pants, and
That
he's not got the flak jacket still on, has he? I can't remember.
I think he had the flap jacket.
Oh,
still
he's still the invisible fourth member of the Shield. Fantastic.
He's Seth Rollins' invisible friend.
That's it. Oh, fuck me, if that's the name of the fucking
Drop Dead Fiend. Yeah, there we go.
Fiend. Rick Mail as.
Yeah. This was a very weird ending for bizarre reason. Like, I think we're all expecting Fiend to actually, finally get a win at actually Bray Wyatt having a win legitimately at WrestleMania and not part of a spooky story.
Yeah, because the last time we had Orton and Fiend go at each other, guess who went over? Orton. Hey.
The Bugs certainly went over very well.
Yes. They totally went over.
But we got to talk about what else returned in this match. The spooky Red Lightning was back.
Yeah, that was something we really needed. We really needed. To be honest, it was so out of place. I kind of thought that.
You know what? You know why they brought it back? Because Kane was headlining the Hall of Fame this for 2021.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's like, oh, remember when Kane wrestled under a red light? Brings me back memories. Let's bring it back one more time with the Fiend.
We could have him face Sin Cara, and it could be blue light versus red light.
It'll be an amalgamation. So what would that turn
purple.
into?
Purple's the best color.
But obviously they actually managed to get their drone show on display that they wanted on night 1, but it was too wet. So night 2 started. Had the old "Let Me In" the sky. That was pretty cool.
They did have it to the end of night 1 because we had Shane's big dollar sign, and then we had
Bianca and Sasha Banks.
There was something for one of them.
Sasha Banks has had the glasses,
sunglasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what to talk about this match? Like, Spookum Alexa Bliss. Oh. What the hell? Like, I have no idea.
Well,
like, even on the Raw following this, I have no idea what that story is.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's them having some interdimensional spat with each other. Apparently, it's like that's how it's rolling at the moment. But how it kind of like started off, it was like we can't just call a box a box. We can't have to call it a box-like structure. Thank you, Cole. You just you had to keep calling it that for the whole bloody thing. You just couldn't just call it a box.
Look, don't didn't you, when you were a small child, enjoy a jack-in-a-box-like structure?
I like the fact that Alexa had been calling like the tiny like a fiend in a box thing and everything else, and now it's a fiend in a box like structure.
Well, it bodes well for the future because we can have hell in a box-like structure, which can then become its own pay-per-view.
No, it's hell in a cell-like structure.
A cell-like structure.
Yeah.
And then we have a solid steel cage-like structure.
A cage-like erection.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Punjabi prison-like structure.
A Punjabi repression of freedoms building.
But no, the start of the match was fun. Like it was like.
Oh, it started off very well.
It started well. Him just jumping off of the box was like, yay, great.
It was telegraphed for years. Unfortunately, it was like lining himself up.
We're expecting someone to jump off something.
I mean, let's be fair. It wasn't as badly telegraphed as every single chair or ladder shot onto somebody's back in AEW right now. Like, it was a cool way to start. I mean, yeah, we expected him to jump in, but like,
then it just went
somewhat refreshing in comparison.
Just downhill, essentially.
I mean, the biggest downhill moment was the
end.
RKO winning. Yeah, it was like,
it's like It was like Bliss was sitting on top of the box. She let out her
she had a buzzard crown.
Yeah, she had a crown on. It's like essentially, what was it? Papa Shango was working in the wings, where black liquid comes down her face and whatnot, a la Warriors. I was trying to make that reference during the thing, but of course I couldn't get it out because I can't type good. That led to the distraction of like the Fiend just looking at him, looking at Bliss and going, "Why are you doing that?" And then, in comes Orton and it's like, "Hello, RKO done." It's like, it was, and of course everybody booed it. Like everyone liked the spot. The audience
reaction.
They liked the spot of like Bliss like going. If it was red, it would have been more deserving of that holy shit chant that it was getting. But it was the distraction, the RKO pin, Fiend loses again at Mania. Everyone hated it, and then at the end, everyone disappeared because lights went out, and then boom.
Yeah,
terrible.
It was great because you could see because they cut back to the central ring shot, and you could just see the crowd behind just going. You look at what the hell was that? It was so very obvious. I mean, I like what it appears to. From a story point of view, it is kind of interesting. I think Turbo, you said either in the Discord or just in general chat with us about sort of your sort of idea of where this is going, which is almost like the real Fiend is Alexa Bliss now. Or was it you?
Oh, that was
Pete?
actually Pete that said that.
I do apologise, Mr. Pete. But it does seem like it's going that way, and that actually that whatever it is, the demonic presence
it makes sense because because Bliss was the medium throughout this entire build. When the Fiend was burned alive at can't remember the pay-per-view he was burned up on to Fastlane, it was all Bliss.
And there became that split. It was the Firefly Funhouse, and then Alexa Bliss was part of Firefly, and then it became Alexa's Playground. And then while the Fiend was away, it was Alexa's Playground. Alexa took ownership of that dimension. Yeah. But hey, doesn't do the Fiend any favours. Gets Orton out of it, so I guess that's a favour for him. It's a shame we didn't get a cinematic thing deconstructing Orton, which I think we'd have all quite liked.
A lot of people would have liked that.
I don't think that was going to happen. Now we're back in the range of crowd matches.
Yeah.
I think if we
still would have been fun to see. Orton being terrorized by handbags would be a good one, and the contents therein.
So yeah, from one disappointment to another, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina for the Women's Tag Team Championship. The wrong people won.
The wrong people did win.
I don't know why they want to keep Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as a team and champions. It just baffles me.
I mean, obviously they don't want to tell the story of either of like Shayna going for like a singles title, I guess. Fuck knows why. Because no, we do know why. It's because Charlotte and Rhea Ripley is a story they want to retell. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if WrestleMania Backlash is a triple threat of Charlotte, Asuka, and Rhea Ripley.
But I'll give this match something. At least it wasn't the tag team turmoil match, because it had some notable errors in that match. But this was slightly better.
This was also the second longest match of the night.
It is,
and it did feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it felt longer than it was. Yeah, absolutely.
It was weird. They did what they did.
I think the bit again, it all boils down to the finish being like very. Although granted, there was one notable spot where it was like Nia Jax doing a cross. Who was doing the cross body to the other team? Was it Nia Jax or Tamina?
It's probably Tamina.
I think it was Tamina.
Alright.
Nia Jax doesn't go on the top rope. You gotta be kidding me.
But it was like it was just them waiting for the spot to happen. It was like it felt like an ice age of them just waiting.
There was a little bit of a pause there, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was like it just felt so. You literally just saw time moving so long during that spot. But it was also that finish where, like, the blind tag was made so long, and it's like Natty's going for the sharpshooter and whatnot, and and the referee is obviously he's not doing the thing. It's like no, she's not the legal woman. You can't do that.
Yeah, he just stood there.
He just let it happen, and then in comes Shayna, comes in, puts in the code for the clutch, and then boom, done.
Yeah, it's down here as technical submission, which because obviously Natty was sort of
Natty didn't tap.
Basically, didn't tap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was a shame. It's a shame that we're continuing this. I mean, the bitter veterans thing we don't get to do in the women's division, so it would have actually been relatively fresh.
It's just I'm just tired of Nia Jax and Shayna as a team. I just want to see.
But we know Shayna deserves better. But it's like I don't know why we've had this mishmash team for so long when we've had specific women's tag team. Why did the women's tag teams in the women's tag team division don't get a freaking shot at this thing?
Because Vince is. I'm surprised Vince hasn't fundamentally gone through every women's tag team to break them up as he has done with the men's ones. To be fair,
I mean, he's had a good go this last week.
Look, yeah, well, true. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what I'm sure John's excited to talk about: Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with Logan Paul.
There was nobody else there. It was just those two.
Yeah, it was just those two. It was those thankfully.
Two.
I mean, for someone who is a celebrity guest appearance, he really did nothing on the match.
Yeah, he didn't bring anything.
He brought a T-shirt line.
I mean, he sold a stunner very well. I'll give him that.
He did sell a stunner very well.
He has sold Kevin Owens' stunner better than I think any wrestler on the main roster.
He had that fantastical flop.
Yeah,
the best one's just flop.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Shane's.
Logan Paul did the job he was there for. He got eyes on the product from a market which they would not normally have.
He gets to yell about it. to social
Yeah.
media for a while.
It's
It just
probably
bit-
it's also
oh.
probably a bucket list item for him as well.
Did you really think that being part of WWE and going to WrestleMania was part of
Bunny,
the
yeah.
bucket list?
They are MMA fans of many
They're
different
fans
things.
of money.
That well, yeah,
I mean,
that's Kevin's.
I'm fans of money. I'll go to WrestleMania and take a stunner.
We'll all go to WrestleMania and take a stunner.
Of course, but we would appreciate it more because we're bigger fans.
Anyway,
You don't know how big a fan they are.
we know he's a massive cock, and that's all we need to know. Anyway,
Yeah, the match itself,
delighted to say, as John will go into in detail, but the actual match was.
Yeah,
I think it was a suitable okay. I think
I put it in good caliber of like their which they referenced in this match was the Battlegrounds fight that they had.
It was
yeah,
nice
but
reference.
it's still not as good as their NXT stuff, is it?
Oh no!
Well, no. Well, that was how many years now?
It was
like-
it was a while ago. I mean, it
was like
they
10
had
years
under,
ago.
They had under
I'll tell you-
10 minutes.
I think a big problem is obviously both of these guys have had like multiple surgeries since that sort of thing, and like they can't do the stuff they used to do either. Like,
Oh, yeah, obviously.
We did have a sick brain buster,
Which Cole didn't call
no.
right because he's an idiot, and he had to be called out by Graves on it. And he was like, "Oh, we'll save you from the internet." It's like, no.
Well,
You'll still be
Cole's
chewed
like
out.
even Cole was like, look, no one's gonna save you from the
Yeah.
But technical stuff, it was a fight. It was a fight, which was good to see.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff from like the pair. I mean, and you said, like you're saying, Pete. Obviously, they're just it's not as good as as they were in NXT. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, Kevin Owens pulling off some really good stuff from like top rope stuff and on the apron and whatnot. I think he did, as well, but not as better than NXT. I'll give you that, but as well. So.
I think they were a little bit curtailed here in terms of their position on the card and the various spots and stunts that were going on in the other matches.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, the build wasn't that like.
If they were a bit higher up the
meaty as
card, I
other
think
ones.
they had a bit more freedom to do a bit more, crazy, outrageous stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and a bit more time. Like I say,
Yeah.
it was.
It's a shame
9:20.
that It's a shame Owens didn't get to jump off the ship. And,
Well, that was the
well.
thing, wasn't it? It was after the after
He just, like,
after
he
the
just saw it and
after
was like-
Stand and Deliver. Everyone was like, when somebody jumped off the giant skull, it was just like, well, hey, Kevin Owens. Bought the fact that the social media for WWE was like, hey, so Kevin Owens, you've got 24 hours to respond. It was what it was.
But I still enjoyed it. I actually thought of that was like one of the matches for the night for me. Like, so.
It was good, and it ended kind of like how we thought it would. In that, Sammy's thinks he was screwed still, and then it just sort of followed through. So that continues with his character, and yeah. Our only non-title male fight for the night.
You mean?
Oh, sorry, second. I keep seeing Alexa Bliss in the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really Alexa Bliss versus All Sense in the first one, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. Let's move on to the United States Championship match of Sheamus versus Riddle.
Yes, and the confirmation that there was still rain in the air because those ropes were still freaking slippery.
Yes, poor Sheamus. That move would have looked so cool.
But I'll tell you what.
Granted, he saved his life.
He made the decision pretty quick that we're not going through with this.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there was bits in this match that I was impressed with. I mean, Riddle, he was working well, and that final spot at the end was it's like it's almost like what was the other? There was another kind of like spot, kind of like it, where it was like bouncing off of the ropes midway.
Yeah, there's been similar.
It was with Ricochet. I believe.
Probably, yes.
It was because he's done that kind of like bit where he kind of like jumped off the ropes and he got either bro kicked or something along the lines in midair or whatever. And really good, proper timing, good work on Sheamus. Like, but there was bits in this that I like. Just a shame that Riddle dropped the belt to Sheamus. But I get from what reports were saying, it's like it was going back and forth, or like it was originally gonna be Riddle going over, and then at the 11th hour.
And then there were reports that sprang up saying Riddle was never meant to have the belt in the first place.
Supposed to have it, and then it's like a course correction.
I sometimes think like the wrestling journalists are just being waylaid and given false information these days, like the big ones, the ones that they know are in deep to try and just like steer stuff away now. I think that's what they're trying to do. Yes.
The kick was from my point of view very satisfying.
Oh well, you got a busted up lip for it as well, so yeah, it would
so did Natty.
Doubly
so did Natty match with Shayna because Shayna kicked her in the face and put a hole in her lip. Shayna, I told you that Nia Jax disease it's very contagious.
It's contagious, yeah.
Very contagious. Knock somebody's tooth out and then knock somebody's tooth through the lip.
I mean, if you've seen Shayna and Charlotte in the ring together, they don't work well together and they just.
Oh God, no. Oh God, no! We've seen that match. It was an absolute travesty.
Anyway, continuing onwards, where it turns out that a Nigerian gunfight is essentially just a no holds barred match. We've got Apollo Crews versus Big E for the Intercontinental Championship.
Ugh.
Sure.
What a bad one.
I mean, it was essentially it was the same as their previous match, at Fastlane. Just like with a stipulation on it in order to get the title changed.
It was just so, like fall on the wayside kind of like match. Like it just did not gel. Like there was no real usage of what was surrounded, because basically what was surrounded the ring was just a bunch of instruments. It's like one of those gimmick matches is for Elias, for crying out loud.
The Symphony of Destruction.
Which he had with Jeff, didn't he?
Yeah.
He had it with Jeff and he had it with Braun.
Because that's what we wanted to do. Wanted to transfer this very iconic match of Elias.
But here's the thing. At least in that one, it utilized a lot more weapons. In this match, in this drum thing, it's like not even the drums were used per se. Like I was expecting Big E to fucking just like grab a drum and just like put him through it.
I was expecting some sort of Ace Ventura reference where they just dun 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 dun.
It was in.
Yeah.
What was it? It was like I think the first Inferno match, wasn't it? Where
it's just a strip of fire around the ring.
Well, no, yes, but Kane went off the side or something, and then
they went over and.
But afterwards, Kane was down thanks to a couple of chairs, and then Taker chased Paul Bearer up, basically to where the live band had been playing, and proceeded to just destroy Paul Bearer with like a microphone stand,
right?
And did the drum over the head, so the Paul Bearer came out with blood, but proper cartoon funk, and it needed that. It needed that. If you've got something like that, which is, I mean, as much as Apollo Crews in the week and a half he was given to get this thing over, it needed something like that. It needed something that almost made the heel look silly.
Yeah. Because
we ended up with part 2 of our 2-night special on how to just completely smash the New Day by just here's a big man.
And I mean,
second verse.
I don't think either of these guys were on SmackDown. I can't remember after the fact. Apollo Crews did like a promo, but that was it. I think Big E wasn't there. But
Big E wasn't.
Big E's got some time on, I think.
I think we should move on. Continuing the state of disappointing matches for night 2.
God.
this should have been so much better. Rhea Ripley against Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. It's just disappointing. I was expecting so much more from both, and
I legitimately switched myself off for this. I just
during the match or before
during the match, during the match, I was just not paying attention at all to the match, and then suddenly it's like, oh, Rhea won with the quick riptide, and that's it. It's like, oh,
a really bad looking riptide.
Yeah,
all of it was wrong. All of it was wrong. It was like Oscar gets to look stupid because she rushes in, which she wouldn't do. Really crappy riptide. There was the DDT off the apron was freaking sick that we had, and that was literally it. Yeah. Both of them didn't look, particularly.
It's a shame, and that's been. We were talking to this in the Discord and whatnot of who's losing the worst at WrestleMania, and it's now a tie between Asuka and Sasha because of this, and it's like, oh my god, these two women are just not having the best of runs when it comes to WrestleMania cards.
I don't think Sasha Banks so much is bothered because of...
No, she's not bothered, obviously. She had an amazing match on that first name. Yeah, she gets the booking later in the year. That's fine. It's like she's working with what she's got, and she's making it work well. But
I'm honestly expecting Asuka to either go back to NXT soon or to go back to Japan.
Well,
I think she'll be close to leaving.
They said it was 6 months. And multiple surgeries by the sound of things.
Okay.
So she said it's 6 months to fully heal. So probably getting some time off.
I just think she's been so poorly booked, and for someone who was left to carry the division in Becky's wake, and she's just been so badly booked and badly treated.
Oh yeah. No, it was evident during that period between Money in the Bank and up to WrestleMania this year. It's like. Asuka
all I'm gonna say is it will surprise me if she resigns.
Yes, it will surprise me as well. If she wants to continue with the company, but she wants to go back to NXT and work in that division again and try to work, build up that team again. That's great, whatnot. But I would likely want to think that she wants to just, or she should just go back home, go back to Japan, and just work with the Japanese divisions.
The thing that's really surprised me at WrestleMania is in Asuka. We've got this fantastic character, which is all colours and the different masks, and a real spectacle of a character when she comes in. They've never done a real, push the boat out entrance for Asuka. She got a new coat this time. That was it. She got a new coat.
She's never had that.
All these things that you could do with the various masters. I know we've had the. She was one of the first ones to get the AR stuff.
Yeah.
Or the mixed reality stuff. But I mean they do that for everything. They did it for fucking Snickers, and I don't think Snickers. Don't
talk to me about bloody Snickers.
Bloody Oscar did.
Christ, the amount of times that. The Snickers was being pushed.
Yes, WrestleMania is sponsored by Snickers.
But it was the case that it was pushed so hard at the fight. I think it happened on both nights where they had to push it at the very end of the show.
I also feel like it was at least mentioned during a match as well.
Oh yeah, it happened during a match. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the main event.
I get
WrestleMania moment brought to you by Snickers.
I get it. It's a paid promotion, and they have to talk about it X amount of times during an evening.
Yeah.
But I guarantee a lot of it on night one was because of all the 40-minute fuck up.
I feel like either side of the promo package for the main event as well. I think it was Here's
Speaking of the
sponsored by
main
Snickers,
event,
and there it is again, sponsored by Snickers, and like, oh, for God's sake.
speaking of the main event, Roman Reigns with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. Sorry, I'm not just going to say Uso because I'm not Michael Cole. Versus Edge and Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. Was this a redemption for the evening? Yes or no?
It was a really good. It was the best match of the night.
Yes,
but it's not redemption for the night itself.
No, but hands down, best match on the card. And it goes back to what we were saying in the first one, in the first show, about matches and things that make it feel like WrestleMania. The big match feel, what it feels like, as opposed to just being a WWE pay-per-view. This, out of everything else, even including Belair and Banks, this felt like it was a WrestleMania main event. This was a WrestleMania match. Everything about it, from the way people sort of, the stories that were being told in the ring by all three people, and also outside, because we had the right hand man Jey Uso doing his thing. We had Paul Heyman going through the 1,000 deaths of Paul Heyman. Oh, anyone else it would be hammy. Paul Heyman is genuine. There was just so much the storytelling going on, and the commentary kept on top of it as well, and they kept sort of remind you of where it was, and the right times. There was the callbacks, and there was the right calls, but not the night entire.
The problem is that they have to make WrestleMania feel big. Now, I've seen a lot of people after the fact say, this is why WrestleMania should only be one night. And I'm like, well, I don't want to watch 8 hours of wrestling in one evening.
Please.
Remember 2 years ago? We were like
Nobody
dying.
wanted that.
No,
yeah.
we got 3/4 of the way through that show, and I think pretty much all of us were done.
Yeah, we went to bed.
Done.
We went to bed.
You could have put on a 12-star absolute never beaten classic in front of us. We were gone, and so was the live audience.
Yeah. The big problem with a lot of the WrestleMania card was the booking leading up to it. And
because there wasn't
even in some of the matches, like the booking of the actual matches were just terrible. Like, we need to get to a point where I get the idea of changing results based on long-term booking and people's reaction to stuff, but Randy Orton versus the Fiend should have gone over. Like, Nia Jax and Baszler should have lost. Owens and Sami Zayn was correct. Sheamus versus Riddle was correct. Did Big E deserve to lose? Probably not for a WrestleMania thing for himself, considering he's been with the company, that long.
Well, the problem
with Big E continues that storyline.
Local. Somebody put as soon as he was announced as from Tampa Bay, and I was like, oh shit, because if I'd known that, I'd have gone for Cruz. Why?
Ripley versus Asuka. I get it. It's essentially to give Asuka a break, but she was there the next night on Raw anyway, which means that she's not going to get a break until after Backlash now. Roman Reigns and Edge and Bryan. I get it. I think Reigns is probably going to be having the given the prestige of longest WWE heavyweight title reign.
Oh, so this is the Roman reign of terror.
I don't think it's a reign of terror because he's not.
But he's a heel at the moment. And it's like,
but
he's the company. He's the big company kind of like guy though.
The difference between the reign of terror, which you're referencing, and Roman Reigns, is that one of them has a lot more pull in the fucking company in general. That's the That's why it was called the reign of terror to begin with, because he put himself in that spot and kept himself in the spot.
The entire thing. Obviously, we had 3 comeback stories here, which was really lovely to see, because obviously Roman's situation, which I think they did bring it up in commentary briefly, is like, hey, it's not just everyone else as well.
Nah, I can't remember.
But it was still, people come back from very serious situations, all 3 of them. There were some wonderful visuals all the way through.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be a match which will have its spots highlighted in future WrestleMania promo packages.
The double submission. I was cheering for Roman to tap out the double submission, and for them to just like go.
Well, it would have been a
now?
technical submission because there's no way he could have said anything.
Yeah, it would have been or
Woof woof, motherfucker.
yeah, but the whole thing of just like Brian coming in, like stopping the hand, and then Edge looking like, what the hell are you doing? How dare you? How dare you do this?
Well, we kind of had that spot. I think that happened in a NXT takeover at one point. I think, or something like that. I can't remember.
Don't fight, you idiots! Don't fight.
I think the biggest takeaway from this is that if you took the best matches from both night 1 and night 2, it would have made a really good pay-per-view on its own.
Yes.
It's not a WrestleMania caliber pay-per-view.
No.
On either night. And I think that is the biggest problem. Especially in the events that have followed, which we won't talk about here, and I'm sure we'll probably do something else where we talk about it elsewhere, I imagine. But yeah, we did we do scores for night 1? I can't remember.
We did.
Yes, we did do scores.
Cool. All right, well, we'll start with you, John. Score for night 2.
For night 2, I'm gonna have to. It's obviously not as high as the last one, so I'm gonna half it and go with a 4.
I can't even remember what I gave to night
gave it a
1.
6.
I gave it 8. You gave it 7. I think both of you gave it 7 or 6.
No, it was 2 6s and a 7, I think.
There you go. Kevin, what are you giving it?
I gave it an 8. That one, never mind.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
4's close to half.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
it's
no
very,
half
very
scores.
deserving of a 4.
Yeah.
You know what? It was just so disappointing. Again, there are bits. I liked Riddle getting kicked in the face. Very disturbing visual afterwards because he was basically kicked in the throat. Every other thing though was just like disappointing and kind of lackluster, and so I'm going to give it a 4, and pretty much every single one of those marks is just for the last match.
I'd agree. I'm going to give it a 3 though, because I like to be different.
Don't you just?
Always. But yeah, I think the last match is really the only thing that kept my interest throughout, you know, which is quite disappointing because it says something about what they've done to everything else.
The really sad thing is, I think we actually went into pretty much every single one of those matches with hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it was going to be. There was potential in every single one of those matches.
On paper, there's a lot of potential for everything. Like, there's potential for everything. Hell, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon has potential. You know?
And even then, we did get something out of it in terms of...
Exactly.
We got to wonder whether or not Shane McMahon had broken his neck or not. It's... we got to wonder how right we were about the cage setup. That was the
indeed. But the big case at hand, obviously, is prediction-wise. It was very close, and it came down to a lot. It came down to a lot of stuff.
It didn't feel close at all to me, really. I fair enough. Night 1, yes, it was close, but
a couple of matches into night 2, anyone could have won it.
True, but in hindsight, I was like looking at what my choices for night 2, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna win this. So it's like,
yeah.
I think a big difference of a lot of going into this is, even though all of my pickings were at least 50%, you know, like in terms of like win loss and like my prediction stuff, like I still feel like I have a leg up on both of you because I'm watching the rest of the product that's there. And I don't think you guys are watching the house shows.
I'm barely watching any of it at the moment.
There you go.
Like, how the hell are you watching house shows?
Special VR technology.
He's there.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I think John might be the same with it. The Mania was so bad in terms of it was so whatever. I mean, even if I'd have won the belt, I wouldn't have been happy.
No,
because
you see,
that's the
thing as well. It's like, you know, I would have been the same if I'd won. I would have been like, yeah, I don't like this.
You say this now, and it's very much hindsight, but I know at least John would have gone and knew the same way he did last time.
We would have all gone and knew probably. But
Yeah,
at the same
exactly.
point, it was like and knew, and we had to sit through that for 2 days.
I knew, and I don't care.
Yeah,
You know?
But yes,
anyway,
we'll be in terms of future pay-per-views. I think we're going to go back to
the alternating
1v1, maybe bring back the group stuff for
big ones.
the
Big,
bigger.
big
Granted, the group stuff was the big ones. That's what we initially said in the past, but
yeah. But yes, so I remain the champion for now, and I'm sure come WrestleMania Backlash, fucking.
oh wait, it's a WrestleMania. We have to go up against each other again. Fuck.
Yeah, we'll get to that we'll get to that stupidity of branding on the actual Backlash show. But before that, do we not have AEW? Isn't it double or nothing?
I think there is a specific named Dynamite. I don't
never mind that.
I don't think there is
double or
a
nothing?
named. Give me a second. Let me see what I can find because
It's not Full Gear, is it?
No, the Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing.
If Double or Nothing happens, it'll be the end of May. So
it'll be either before or after.
WrestleMania Backlash is going to happen in the middle of May, so
bollocks.
It'll possibly be after. So it'll be probably WrestleMania Backlash and then a week or two, and then Double or Nothing.
It's me first, so I'll trade you, John, if you want.
It doesn't
Whatever.
matter. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening or watching, depending on where you have gathered this last-minute kick-out information from. As always, come and join us on the Last Minute Continue Discord. Follow us on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. From Mr. Turbo, from Mr. Kev, and myself, we'll see you for WrestleMania Backlash.
See you guys.
Ah.